I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Martin Township Board of Adjustment for April 28th, 2025. The legal notice required by the Open Public Meetings Act has been satisfied, and a statement certifying same will be executed. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First item is the approval of the minutes from the January 27th.
Roll call.
Oh, roll call, sorry. Roll call.
Mr. Goldberg.
Here.
Mr. Trachtenberg.
Here.
Mr. Williams.
Here.
Mr. Schuster.
Here.
Mr. Benoit.
Here.
Mr. Kramer.
Here.
Mr. Woodford.
Here.
Ms. Simmons. Here. Ms. Polara. Here. Mr. Sovisky.
Here.
Mr. Druish.
Here.
Okay.
And I, Sonia Santiago, here.
Thank you. Okay, first order of business now is the approval of meeting minutes from January 27th, 2025. Has everybody read the minutes, and did anybody have any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Ms. Ma. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Next is a resolution appointing Mr. Vayuch as the board engineer consultant. Has everybody read the resolution? All right, entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms.
Trachtenberg.
Okay, Ms. Santiago?
Mr. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. Trachtenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Schuster.
Yes.
Mr. Benoit.
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Mr. Woodford.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, next is two resolutions. The first is BA-05-25. Mr. Sobieski.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This was a resolution you guys approved a little while back. Applicant here was proposing the construction of a second-story addition to create a side yard setback of 7.1 feet where 20 was required. He also needed a variance for a combined side yard setback of 14.2 feet where 50 feet was required, and a third variance for a front yard setback of 24.4 feet where 50 feet was required. I believe that was approved with all usual conditions that the board typically imposes on residential applications of this nature.
Thank you. Do everybody, any comments? Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I have a second.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Santiago?
Mr. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. Trachtenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Schuster.
Yes.
Mr. Benoit.
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
And Mr. Woodford.
Yes.
So moved.
Next is a resolution on BA-18-22.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the applicants here are just seeking a one-year extension of their approval that they've received, it was adopted back on March 27, 2023. This was an application for a bulk variance to permit the construction of a partial second floor and front stairs on property located at 222 West Hanover Avenue in the township. It's a very standard, straightforward one-year extension request here.
Okay. Members of the board, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Santiago.
Mr. Goldberg.
Yes.
Mr. Trachtenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Schuster.
Yes.
Mr. Benoit.
Yes.
Mr. Kramer.
Yes.
Mr. Woodford.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, next we move on to the public hearings. First one being BA-03-25. This continuation on block 5903, lot 4. Ms. Santiago.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, this is BA-03-25, Evan Wilson. This is a continuation from the March 24, 2025 public hearing. Applicant proposed the construction of an in-ground pool, creating a rear yard setback of 26.5 feet where 50 feet is required.
Mr. Chairman, before we get started, if you don't mind, I'll swear in our new board engineer, Mr. Vuch.
Oh, thank you.
As well, Mr. Chang, I know you from other places. Good to see you, sir. Were you sworn at the previous hearing?
No, I was not here.
You weren't here? Okay, so we'll swear you in, and
Evan Wilson.
Mr. Wilson, you weren't here either.
No,
Or-
last month I was here.
You were here, and
I was not sworn in.
okay, so the three of you will need to be sworn. So if you could all please raise your right hands. Do all of you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, great. That's sorry, Mr. Chairman, just wanted to get
No, thank you.
that taken care of.
Okay, I think the last time we were here, we were talking about landscape plans.
That's correct.
And you were going to meet with your neighbors concerning that landscape plan and hopefully arrive at some sort of agreement.
You guys want me to do a full rendering of what I was going to propose and offer to the neighbors as far as the trees and everything?
Have you talked with the neighbors? Have they seen this plan?
Not specifically. I mean, we sent it to you guys assuming that this was the,
Well, I said, like, let's come up with a plan and let's give it to the neighbors so they can comment before we get here and see if you guys could reach an agreement on everything. But since you're here, and I take it those are the plans in
I
front of
did,
you.
and I apologize. I did not know that you wanted me to directly.
Okay,
Yeah, yes.
we can pass them out, but also give them to the, give a copy, if you have copies, to the people who are here, your neighbors back there.
Mr. Chairman, while he's doing that, I believe this would be the first exhibit entered by the applicants, right?
This is.
Okay, so this would be Exhibit A1, and when they get situated, we'll just need a title for that. Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
He's got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So,
So I think we can mark this as Exhibit A1. This would be a compendium consisting of a colorized photograph, a landscaping plan, and colorized renderings. I think that's it. And I think that's dated today. We'll give that today's date. That's okay with you guys?
You want me to bring it up?
Sure, please.
Can you bring up the exhibit, please?
Jackie boy.
Before we go any further, Mr. Chang, because you haven't testified yet, would you just give the board your quick summary of your credentials and your background?
I'm a graduate of NJIT, and I've been a licensed civil engineer in the state of New Jersey for over 25 years.
Okay, license is current and good standing?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, is he accepted as?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, okay. I just, I gave you guys a little more. We had the original renderings and I have the realistic renderings to offer you as well. I also just included a picture that shows the neighbor's house directly behind me from inside of my house, just to kind of show you what.
Okay, when you're saying that's the photo you,
This photo I gave you guys is a picture I was taking inside of my kitchen of the neighbor's house behind me. Where you can see inside their house, their car in the backyard. Just that, this is what it looks like currently
okay.
for privacy issues.
So there's already a fence.
There's already a fence, but there is very little privacy.
Correct.
And you took this photograph?
Can I what?
You took this
I
photograph?
took this photograph a week or two ago.
Okay.
You can see, I mean, their garage is in the back of their house. I don't know if that's probably not code anymore, but that's okay. You can see their cars back there. I can see into their windows. They can probably see into mine. It's fine. It is what it is, but there is no privacy at this point. And I'd like to change that on top of everything else we're trying to do.
Okay. Is this your fence or,
That is my fence, this picture,
yes,
looking out from inside my kitchen at their
Right.
house. Yes.
okay.
They could own that fence. I don't know who owns it specifically. I bought the house. There's 3 neighbors behind me. I don't know who built the fences. I don't know if you check the code, but that is the back fence on my back property.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. You can proceed.
So we are, not doing much except, we're adding the pool, we're bringing it as close as we can to the house. We're asking for, I think, just over 20 feet of variance. Currently, we have a number of trees that offer no privacy.
but putting a direct hazard to vehicles up to my house. I've had my insurance canceled twice, so, we're taking those out. That's not an issue, I don't believe. And we're adding, I think it's almost 20 arborvitae around, from the document you see, a lot of those arborvitae are already there on the right side. Someone development was done about 18 years ago, but we're adding about 18 to 20 more along that north side, and then I guess the east and west a little bit. Aside from that, the drainage has not been an issue. I'm at the top of a hill, and it all goes down to town land, but there's nothing below me. Aside from that, we're maintaining my property, which is pretty much unutilizable now. We're putting in these trees that are going to offer more privacy for everybody, which will actually break down, I think, the noise as well. And I honestly, I see a win-win for everybody here. I don't see anybody having any hardship from this.
So looking at this diagram, you're proposing, I believe it is 29 arborvitae?
I have 11 already, so it's about 19. If you look at the right side, those on the bottom right side there, those ones are already there.
On the bottom right side of
That, yes, those ones are already.
the first diagram.
Yeah, they were put in when the house next to me was built 19 years ago.
Okay.
So I'm adding to that, continuing up and then across and down and completely hiding the pool and my whole backyard, which is for my privacy. I appreciate my neighbor's privacy as well, but I have a 13-year-old daughter. I don't want anybody looking into my backyard as well.
When you plant these arborvitae, how large will they be upon planting?
I think I told you guys last time, I 6 feet at least. So it wouldn't take more than a year before it is. Immediately it'll have more
And
coverage.
they are green giants, so they
Okay.
Yeah.
grow very fast.
Yeah, and we're talking, it's gonna have more coverage immediately, and within a year, we're gonna probably block most of it out.
Green giants, how tall do they reach?
40 to 60 feet, I think.
Green giants probably 50, 40
40
feet,
feet.
depending on how close you plant them, the closer you plant them, the more immediate screening you get. If you plant them further apart, they will grow higher, but even if you grow them about 5 feet apart, they could get up to 30, 40 feet.
Okay.
And an average of 3 feet a year is good life.
Okay. Board members, do you want to go over these other photos, please?
Yeah. Let's see if you like.
Sure.
Sure.
Should we just scroll through them?
Yeah, just go through one by one.
Next page?
Yep, next page. That's the back from my house. We're staying as close to the house as we can, 10 feet, so that we minimize the distance to the property, up to 50 feet to their back property. So this,
Looking to the right.
looking to the right to our house. And this would be, essentially what you see from our property into the next.
That's looking, as you're facing your property to the right.
Exactly, to the right.
Those are existing trees?
Those actually, where I'm talking about some existing, kind of ends right there. I'm putting that bird bath and continuing from that.
Okay.
In all honesty, it's actually more full than that on the right side, because the trees have been there for about, I think it's about 16, 18 years. You go next.
Next,
This would be from my house when you walk out, looking back, directly back and to the right. And again, that offers privacy. That's a back fence back there, correct.
next,
Next. And that's the general picture of it. Again, I think the neighbors that have issues are just directly behind us. The house is just to the left of the pool, but back there. So the pool is not even directly behind their property. Next. And then that would be, again, the view from back towards the house, looking back towards, the photograph I showed you guys where I can see into the neighbor's backyard. This is the view. So this is what I changed from what you guys saw. Next. That's just the right side of the house.
Right.
Now, is that where on the left side, is that where the pool equipment is going to be?
Right there on the left, correct, is where the pool equipment would be. That's tucked away on the side of the house, not closer to my neighbor on the other side, but still within, well, more than 30 feet from that property, I believe. And then next. And then this would be, the view looking back towards my house. This is essentially, my neighbor's fence would be about, 23 feet to the left of that. Next. That might be it. One more. Yeah, we're gonna put all the vegetation and stuff in front of it, just to appease us, but again, a little bit more of a buffer. Maybe one more photo and that's it.
That's it.
If you look at the photo that I showed you guys, we're adding a ton of privacy, I believe for everybody, including us. I don't think I'm gonna hurt anybody's property values, I think this helps everybody.
And everybody will get their privacy.
And everybody gets their privacy.
We'll get to you in a second, okay? Board, is there anything else?
I don't believe so, thank you.
Okay, board members, questions?
I had just one question. Is the intention to put the 48-inch pool fence in front of that picket fence that we're looking at the back of this, or is that fence going to come down
No,
or
that fence is gonna stay there, and all the arborvitae are going in front of that.
go in front of that?
Yeah,
Gotcha.
so again, that fence, it runs across my entire property line, which, again, I have 3 neighbors on the back side. I don't even know whose fence that is. It could be 3 neighbors, so we're gonna put trees in front of the whole thing, blanket the whole thing, and block it out for everybody.
And then also carry that 48-inch fence behind the arborvitae, or you're going to take advantage of that picket fence there? I'm just trying to figure out if there's going to be fence on fence.
Well, at this point, the plan is to leave the fences that are there, not to disrupt anything any more than what's already there. If those are my neighbor's fences, I don't want to get in anything with them about removing them or anything.
Well,
Yeah, I was just confused because on this plan here, the drawing, it says, 48-inch pool fence, and then with those dots, whatever, it seems to carry around the circumference of the property line, so to speak. So I don't know if that was continuing all the way around or.
I'm not sure what you're talking about
Well,
here.
the fence is existing that goes along the rear property line, but we're proposing this.
Yeah, we're proposing a fence.
Proposing one on the left side of the pool to close out the.
Okay, so that 48-inch pool fence is only being added to the left side of the property only.
Right. Only, yes.
And then the front side, that gate is already there and
Yes, that's
existing.
existing.
Okay, thank you.
And just to be clear, when you say left side, you mean the west side, right?
Yes, the
Okay,
west
just
side.
trying to speak directionally. Thank you.
So did I mishear that you don't know whose back fence that is?
Well, I don't, who put the fence in 4 years ago? I don't know exactly.
Well, who's going to maintain it now? You have to have a fence.
There is a fence there. I mean, it's maintained by me on my side and the neighbors on the
But
other side.
who, it's a stockade fence, right, correct?
It's a wooden fence, correct?
Yeah. So in other words, that fence is going to rot out at some point in time
Yes.
and need to be replaced. So whose property is it on and who controls the fence that would be responsible for maintaining it? That's a question.
I mean, I believe it would depend on the section. I believe right behind us, it's my neighbor's fence. As I've talked to them, I think they said they had to repair it at a time, so I do believe it's theirs.
Well,
Is the fence facing
Much-
you?
I'm
What's
sorry.
that?
Is the fence facing you? The finished side, is it facing your
I don't
property?
think so. No, it's not.
Well, then it's probably yours then.
I think, and I would hope the engineer will back me up on this. You're responsible for having a fence around your pool.
That's absolutely
Right,
fine.
so, yeah, right, by construction code, right, UCC, there has to be the 48-foot
And
full fence.
that means you control, you maintain, you repair. Am I right?
correct. And if the fence has been there for a while, it's probably close to falling down.
I went through that in my old house.
And
I would prefer to take care of the fence if that's okay.
Well,
But we're,
You need
what
to
we're,
find out whose it is.
we have to find out whose it is, and also, if it's on their property and it's their fence, even though somehow it's facing the other way, then you have to have a fence inside of their fence because you're responsible for having a fence.
Exactly.
I
Where I'm
can agree to put a fence up in front of that fence. That's not a problem for me.
Do we want another stockade fence, or would you rather have some sort of metal?
I don't think you need a stockade on a stockade.
Right,
Traditionally, I would match the pool fence for the consistency of one fence that goes and encloses the pool.
that's
for
what
the,
I
for the
would,
construction
yeah.
permits, and then it kind of alleviates by having a style difference. It alleviates the concerns in the future over who owns which fence.
right, right.
Mr. Chairman, engineering question. Does there need to be a certain distance between fences?
I
code.
believe it's a minimum 1 foot from the property line, so there should be a 2-foot strip between the fences if both fences are built off the same common survey.
So if one fence is on one's property, it's, neighbors either got to agree, like, he's going to put up a fence and that one's going to come down.
Right, so any new fence in our municipality would not be put up any closer than a foot to the property line.
Okay,
So it stays on your property.
and you can maintain it a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. Board members, any other questions at this point?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
the plants in front of the trees, maybe this is a question for the attorney, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
Are they going to be part of the condition, or we're only concerned with the trees?
Well-
They're more decorative. Do we need to worry about that?
Well, my recommendation would be that the board, if it were to act favorably on the application, condition it upon the applicant providing landscaping substantially consistent with what's depicted in the plan, what's also depicted in the renderings that they
Okay.
showed this evening.
right.
Is that something the applicant, I mean, you guys, that's your landscaping plan, right?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, we did this. This is our plan and the whole thing, but you guys asked what we did it, and then, yeah, we try to put realistically the plants that we wanted there that we could maintain. My wife and I even fought over it, what can we put in so that I don't have to maintain that often? I don't want to cut them down, high grasses. I don't want to cut them down all year long, this and this. So we picked, and we told the designer of this to put in grasses and plants that I don't have to spend too much time maintaining, that will make the property, beautify it, block some of the sound, and sit well in front of all these arborvitae.
So the plan will be consistent with what they're gonna plant out.
Right, okay, right. That's your
We tried to
stipulation.
put it as
Okay.
consistent as
Okay.
possible, yes.
Right. And you've also stipulated, agreed that you're going to put a 48-foot pool fence around the entire rear yard area to enclose
I
the
have
pool,
absolutely no problem with that.
in addition to the stockade fence that's already there.
And that's our, absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
48 inch.
48 inch.
So I say 48 feet?
I said foot.
Oh,
I
my
was
bad.
about to say 4 feet, and then I said 48, and then I said
I
foot.
cannot do that.
So,
I can put a 4-foot fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do
Not
not
even
want
a
a
fence at that
48
point.
foot fence.
I think that's
48
against
feet
town
in
code.
length is what I meant.
Yeah.
Okay. Board members, any other questions? Any questions?
On the submitted plans, there's a more basic layout of the pool.
Mhm.
Should the board understand Exhibit A1 to be the more refined layout of the pool patio?
Yes, I think, yes, that one shows that more of the patio is on the back side.
Right, so
Correct.
it looks like it's a more complete
That shouldn't be
patio
there.
replacement.
That was incorrect in the first place. We have
Okay.
no intention of a patio on the back side close to the neighbors at all. The patio is supposed to be towards the house and on the
And it'll all be
flanking side.
essentially a complete replacement of walkway and slate patio that's there.
That's already there, exactly.
Right,
So we're not
okay.
changing any of that, we're just.
So,
So I would just ask that,
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, how wide is that, the patio gonna be as it faces the neighbors on that side of the
That
pool?
side, it's literally a walkway. We're
So,
talking like.
3,
I think
4 feet?
At the most, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have no interest on putting anything
So,
on that
so it
side.
wouldn't be like,
Nope, I have no
So-
interest on no lampshades, nothing on that side, but a walkway around the property.
it appears we're well inside the impervious coverage, so it wouldn't be a concern for additional variance.
right,
But the plan, if approved, the plot plan should be revised to reflect those coverage changes,
Yes.
just to memorialize with the resolution. That way we have something.
and also to show the
and to show-
dimensions.
Right, to show it and to update those changes.
Okay,
It does not look like, the other reason I bring that up is that it does not look like the pool's location changes off that plan. So the setbacks are to the outside of the pool, not the patio extending from it, right? So the variance relief being requested, I believe, is still consistent between the plan and Exhibit A1.
Okay, so it'd be the 26.5 feet to the rear property line, is that correct?
I believe so. And,
All right.
and then 30 a compliant side yard.
Right. But now, I've got a question for you. With the, previously, the side yard setback was 37.7, and now it's going to 30, because it's 37.7 off the house.
Correct.
Right? And they've got 40.4 on the other side. So that would have been 78.1. And now they're going to 30.4. So would they need a combined side yard variance?
Does our code treat the pool the same for, so typically a combined side yard is the combined off the principal dwelling, not off
Okay.
accessory structures.
Okay,
So I would further that to the 1.5 story brick dwelling. That's an accessory structure as well, secondary structure, or it's a
Yeah.
second principal structure. So
yeah, what is the status on that again?
That is going to be completed. We bought somebody else's issue. They moved that onto the property 18 years ago. They opened up permits, they left it there. I talked with Albert in length before I brought the property to make sure that we rectified and did everything the town wanted. I have done that. I talked to Albert before I submitted anything for this pool and said, hey, what do you want me to do about that structure to get that permit and everything taken care of before I do the pool? He said, listen, you've done everything you had to do. You can deal with the pool, we'll deal with that down the road. I have to knock it down or connect it to my property, which is something we are prepared to do.
Okay, so you either have to be removed or be
connected
connected.
to the
Okay.
principal dwelling.
So so when we're passing this, we're not approving that, that second structure as
No,
it
you're
is.
not, and I will deal with that with Albert at the building code department, and I am been on that since I bought
Okay.
the house and before I bought the
Right.
house.
So I would consider that an accessory structure at this time.
Right,
So that's an accessory structure 40.4, and then the accessory pool 30 on the other
yeah,
side.
because I just see these, brick dwelling and that
Yes,
raises.
Right. it is not, right, and it's not part of this application for
Okay,
essentially a use variance on a second principal structure on the property.
Okay, and you understand.
Nor does it have prior existing non-conforming status.
Yes.
Okay.
And this building was an issue within by the house, so we're well aware of it, and we're trying to do everything we can to appease everybody regarding it, because it's someone else's nightmare that I'm trying to get out of everybody.
Okay. Board members, any other questions? Any more questions? If not, I'll open it up to members of the public to ask questions at this point concerning the landscaping plan and the other testimony you've heard tonight, and actually on the prior testimony. This is questions only.
You'll have an opportunity to make comments, but at that point in time, I'll swear you in, so please just keep it to questions.
This is gonna last another year. Those arborvitae's up against it, they're gonna just knock it over.
That's good things we can say.
You can actually see what's going on. Arborvitae screen.
Testing, 1, 2, 3. Thanks.
Sounds good.
Okay, your name, please, ma'am?
My name is Susan Donnell. I'm married to David Budd. So it's the Budd House. Everybody calls it the Budd House,
Okay,
but
can you spell your last name and give us your address?
my last name, Donnell, 80 Overlook Road, Morristown, Chip.
Okay, and you proceed with your questions.
Okay, thank you. I don't know if it's helpful if I clarify one thing that's happened so far, but we do own the fence behind the Wilsons, and it does face them. It's very old.
But anyway, I'll get on to my questions.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, real quick, just so, because that is a fact statement, do you swear or affirm the
Oh.
testimony you just provided will be was the truth, will be the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay.
Okay,
Sorry,
thank
just want to
you.
make sure it's,
Sorry.
it's counted, yeah.
Is this a C1 hardship variance?
What is this, one hardship? I have a hardship that I can't have my pool in my property where I think I should have it. I have an acre of property.
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
I
Use
don't know
the
what this one
microphone.
variance is exactly, but
Microphone.
I believe it is a C1.
If I could just maybe perhaps clarify the question, or, explain. So, Miss, there's the state statute, the municipal land use law provides the applicant seeking a bulk variance that's sought pursuant to either NJSA 40:55D-70C1 or C2. The law provides two different bases for the applicant, well, for the board to find that the applicant's met his burden of proof to be entitled to a variance. So there's C1 and C2. So I don't know if that helps answer your question, but that's kind of
Well,
where you're going.
no, but I just heard that C1 is a hardship variance and C2 is weighing the advantages and disadvantages.
That's
So
sort of
I
right.
just wanted to know which one it was.
The
If they
board
have
can-
a hardship.
The board can grant it under either
Why don't
alternative.
you explain what both are for?
Right, so the C1 variance, that's when there's a hardship, right? Typically, that's related to some kind of physical feature affecting the property. Like, I don't know, for example, let's say there's it's on the cliffside, you need to disturb some soil, and the ordinance says you can't do that. You can't disturb soil. Well, there, you might have a hardship. I'm speaking very broadly, hypothetically. Under a C2 variance, an applicant needs to demonstrate that their proposal promotes one of the purposes of the municipal land use law. They're enumerated in section 2, and that the benefits of the application will substantially outweigh the detriments associated with the application. Not only that, regardless of which basis they want to go, C1 or C2, they also need to demonstrate that there's going to be no substantial detriment to the public good and no substantial impairment to the purpose of the intent of the ordinance of the master plan. So I know that's a lot to throw at you, but that's the statutory framework that this board is required to analyze the application.
Okay. Do you ask the applicant those two last questions, or are we supposed to ask that?
The board, that's why this is a hearing. The board is supposed to ask questions, and they weigh the merits of the application based on that framework. And, they'll decide whether or not the applicant met their burden of proof or not.
Okay, then I'm going to just hope that you all are asking him those two questions and you're satisfied.
Right now, we're asking questions of on their testimony. So if you want to get there.
Okay, I'll just ask.
What you're saying now is best left for when you get to testify. And you
Okay.
can come up and say, but right now it's just asking questions.
Okay.
Thank you for your asking for clarification.
Okay, thank you. This is just a little note to the Wilsons that I don't know if they're aware of the town pool, Ginty Pool. I don't know if you've ever, I know you're new, so I don't know if you know about that. And if you're aware of the Kellogg Club, which is a pool club for the neighborhood. Just in case you didn't know about them, I wanted to make sure you knew, because they're great options for neighbors who
You gotta
don't have
let
pools.
them answer the question.
I do aware of both of those. We appreciate that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good. Okay, great. As a condition of approval, the Board of Adjustment at the last meeting suggested the planting of the 2 rows of trees as a buffer, and this is really impressive what you've come up with. It's very shady back there. I know you've taken out a lot of trees recently, but our house blocks the evening sun. Your house blocks the morning sun. There's tree cover, not just from your trees, but also the 2 large maples and 1 large locust at the Cassidy's property. Mr. Cassidy's here tonight. The 2 large maples and 1 large pin oak from our property, and the large beech tree, the very large white oak tree, plus 2 pin oaks and 1 maple from the Addis's property. They can't be here because they're on an airplane coming home from their family vacation, but they wish they could be here. We are concerned that the trees,
Okay, is there a question in here somewhere?
here we go. The trees that would be planted, these arborvitae, we're concerned that they would survive all the shade. And just as a part of the question, it may help the survival issue if the trees are taller than the fence to get the light. So that would be 7 to 8 feet tall rather than 6 feet tall.
Sure. The trees will survive. I have 11 on the one side. We talked to the engineer last time. I've been monitoring the light as I've been thinking about this for the last 2 years. There will not be an issue. I did this in my previous house where I put in arborvitae where I had less light and they did just fine. You're correct. There's a concern about the trees being lower than the fences. Fences are 6 feet. They should be at least 6 feet. The sun does come down at about 6 feet and hit them during the day, just below those fences. I have no issues or concerns or qualms. Again, I have a 13-year-old daughter in this backyard in her bathing suit. There will be privacy. I will make sure of it, and that is 100% guaranteed.
Thank you.
I will guarantee these trees. I am concerned about your privacy, but not a fraction as much as I am about my own.
Okay.
So I am definitely making sure this is not any kind of a ploy. This is what we want to do.
Okay, great. Also, what happens if a tree dies, if several trees die?
Great question. I don't know if you were there before I bought my property, but there's lots of little trees on our property that fall down all the time. I don't know if you saw the tree fall down a month ago. That fell towards my house and not yours, luckily. But one did fall down shortly before I bought my property and knocked down 7 of the arborvitae that were blocking my neighbor to the right. Those trees miraculously themselves shot out the side and grew back up without being having to be replanted. The 50-foot log that was the circumference of 10 feet was left there, but those trees have grown back up and have blocked my neighbor's house once again in the span of just a few years. And we will replace them if they die, obviously. We would replace them in a heartbeat. But they have proven to be very well and receive the light well there and do fine. And again, I am very concerned about my privacy, and if it's not private enough, I will put more up and I will always replace them as they die. We love trees. We want more of them, but we also just want them to be feasible for what we're going to do.
Okay, thank you. Will there be any more trees removed?
Yes, there will be some trees removed. That will happen regardless. I've had insurance canceled on me twice. I've had 2 trees fall down on the property in the last 12 months. This week alone, I've had pieces big enough that fell that would just 2 days ago when the windstorm was that would kill somebody. So I have a lot of stress and anxiety over the trees on my property. And I think, I asked my wife, that this is kind of where this came from, that so much stuff was falling and the trees behind our house are leaning because there was no mitigation done on our property. You guys all have your houses built after the fact. There's mitigation. My house was there in the woods for many, many years, and she just let the trees grow. And they're all fighting each other. They're fighting and fighting and fighting, and there's one's leaning this way, and they're leaning.
When you say this way,
like over my house.
okay.
Like I'm talking a tree that you can't even put your arms around that will kill everyone in my house. So I have heart palpitations. So the trees will be cut down regardless for the safety and mitigation of my family. But I will be planting twice as many as I'm taking down, and I have hundreds of trees on my property, just so you guys understand. 50 in my backyard alone. Hundreds around the property, and the front yard another 50. So I've cut down 12 in the last year. I had the arborists come through, save a tree and pick all the trees, and constantly trying to manage it, and they keep falling and falling and falling. So that's where this started. We're trying to manage the trees. So nothing is going to get taken down that really shouldn't be taken down in the first place.
You've probably heard that they have a new tree ordinance in Morristown, right? Would somebody like to speak to that issue? I don't know much about it.
I think, this is just my thoughts, that since you're saying you're going to be removing a lot of trees,
Not a lot, just there's a number of trees I have to remove regardless that are hanging over my house.
right?
And then like some that are, you're talking trees that are like this thick that are 15 feet tall that are struggling underneath other. But I'm removing, like regardless of whether or not I do this, I'm going to remove the trees behind my house that pose a threat to my family.
I understand that. But just like you're talking about, like, as we sit up here, as the board members sit up here, we have no concept of where all these trees are we're talking about. I mean, at least me,
Let me show you a picture. I want to show you a picture. Public information.
we can't just go off of what we see on Google
Okay,
Maps.
Could be outdated.
Could be outdated.
yes, it could. That's true.
But we don't have to litigate that. Can't a condition be that they follow the guidelines of the
The ordinance.
of the ordinance?
They'd be required to do so anyway, but
Yeah.
the board
Yeah.
will certainly reiterate that in
Yeah.
the resolution.
So it sounds like you've been working with an arborist to manage the trees on your property.
I have.
Essentially like a forestry management
I
plan,
had-
for lack of a better term, with them.
Exactly. I'd save a tree. I picked an arborist. My wife suggested we pick an arborist. We had save a tree come through when we bought the property. We took down a number of trees, cut back as much as we could. Honestly, things kept falling, trees kept falling. I had another company come in and do the same thing. And it's honestly, it's a constant maintenance on all of it. And that's not going to change. I'm going to still have to do that on the front, on the sides. I have to find trees in the woods that are falling even towards my neighbor's houses and trying to mitigate all of that.
So we'll add to your process. One thing that's changed since you purchased the home is that there was a community-wide ordinance obligation from the state and from the EPA as part of the MS4 stormwater permit that required municipalities address basically a tree removal and replacement program in their ordinances.
Yeah.
So there is a registration and replacement process that you'll go through formally with the township that you wouldn't have had to do in the first year when you purchased the home.
And that's great. And I actually called the town a number of months back to ask if it was okay that we did this. And I don't know.
I believe it was up to maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago that
Okay,
ordinance
so-
hadn't been on the book,
So
so.
I did check on this and make sure. I was told that everything was fine. Everything, if it's changed since then, that's fine with me. That's great. I'm gonna plant well more trees that will have better light access and will do much better and thrive more than what's already there. And it's not gonna pose a threat to anybody. In fact, it's gonna offer a buffer zone. So we're just trying to better it.
And a lot of those trees that's on the property right now are, there's a mix of sizes, so a lot of them are undersized, which would not
Which would not trigger the
trigger
permit,
the,
right?
yeah, would not trigger the,
So they're like undergrowth trees?
Oh, there's a ton of undergrowth trees, and then I have trees that are, this big and lean,
Right.
So.
Okay. You have more questions? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
please.
We
Thank
got
you.
sidetracked there.
That's okay. All of this adds to a better picture of what's going on, so that's very helpful. Let's see. Regarding this new drawing, it says here this is the garage.
Oh, that's mislabeled. That's that. They call it the carriage house. You're aware of what that is, right?
Yeah, I know, yeah. I was just wondering if you're changing it to a garage or
No,
something.
we're not. Like I said, we're gonna encompass that into the house. We're gonna try to make that eyesore go away as well. We're trying to rectify everything that she did there. Yeah.
And that was my next question. So I couldn't hear in the background, what did you say, that you are going to keep the house or you're thinking of getting rid of it?
We would like to keep it. We'd like to, it's a beautiful thing. It was built in the 40s. It used to be over there. It was moved here. It has a great history. We would love to keep it and preserve the building and the property. That is my plan. I have no interest in knocking it down. If the town makes me and I have an ultimatum, I can't tell them no. But at this point, I'm trying to build this property for my children. So I want to get this pool done. And I'd love to get that carriage house done because initially my wife and I were supposed to move in there and live on that part of the house. That was the plan when we bought the house. We did not know the house was in such dire straits that we shouldn't have bought it, and it was going to cost most of our life savings to fix it, which it did. And this money was allocated beforehand for this pool. So we're just trying to finalize our plans. But again, that carriage house, when we do it, we're going to try to minimize everything and not, have an issue with anybody around us and try to keep everything without disturbing anybody. Whether we knock it down or fix it up.
Okay. And then the other thing I wanted to ask, on this plan and this plan, the patio is so different. And I know you said you just want a 4-foot, but the pool if I understand correctly, stays the same place.
That is correct, and I do apologize. I think the first thing that was drawn out, they just kind of speculated the patio. We have no interest the patio being on that side. There's no light there, and also, first and foremost, we understand that that is where your property line is, and we don't want to go near it. So we're putting everything on this side and towards the house.
Okay, great.
So this is the final thing, and it will be no more than just a walkway on that side. And in all honesty, right now I have my kid's playground and his trampoline, all that stuff back there. We're really pulling everything closer to us. So I really think that in the long scheme of all of this, we're making it better for everybody.
Thank you, good. Thank you very much. Let's see. Oh, regarding the fence around the pool, did you just say that you would put up your own fence?
I think that we were all in agreement that they were in agreement that they would like me to put up a fence 1.5 feet from your
Oh,
fence.
okay,
So that in case something happens with your fence, there's a second barrier and it will be new and fresh and sturdy, and that will go along and encompass my pool grass.
I think that sounds great because our fence is very old. And if we're out of town and slats fall off, I would be horrible. Things could happen with a few slats off.
Agreed, and I've worked on your fence from my side as well.
Thank you. So you know how old it
I
is.
do, and I do know, and I do construction as well, so I have absolutely no problem doing that and just really solidifying that property line.
Okay. And this is my final question, I think. If the pool is approved, crossing into the setback area by quite a lot, does this set a precedent for Mr. Wilson to build other things like a tennis court or a shed in his back area, in this setback area?
No. No, simple answer is no.
Okay. And the approval of this variance, will it set a precedent for other neighbors in our neighborhood? This could potentially adversely affect the privacy not only we have, but in the neighborhood.
Again,
Can you answer that one?
the short answer, no. Every application is judged on its own merits. They all stand alone. The board isn't, but just because it finds that one applicant's met its burden of proof doesn't find that every applicant's met its burden of proof. As I was trying to explain to you before, that's every application is analyzed to that statutory framework. So, like I said, they're all judged on their own merits. So no precedent, the short answer.
Okay. Thank you for allowing questions.
You want to swear me in now or later?
Oh, this is for questions right now, so as
Okay.
long as we're on questions, you don't have to be sworn in.
I'm David Budd, and I live at 80 Overlook Road. You just heard from my wife. This is a question for the applicant. Are there any other locations on your property where the pool could be located while requiring no variance or a lesser variance?
The answer is no. We went over that the last meeting, and I thought about the calculator, we looked at it. This is the best location that works for everybody. This is.
I understand this is the best location in your opinion.
If I don't put it here. This would fit into my envelope on either side. And I'm only asking for about a 20-foot variance in this direction. So this is where it's, and also, I think what we talked about is anywhere else I put it, I can't see my children in it from my house, and that's not acceptable for me.
Okay. Have you given any consideration to raising the accessory building that is currently unused, accessory structure that's currently unused, and siting the pool partially in that existing footprint where half of your excavation is already going to be done for you?
Again, no, I will not consider that because I will not be able to see my children in the pool.
Okay. This is a 47% incursion into the setback variance, which is a material variance, in my opinion, for what it's worth. And so I have a question. Can I ask a question of the board? Am I permitted to do that?
Go for it.
Go for it, yes.
All right. In the event you elect to approve the requested variance conditioned on the installation and maintenance of a staggered row of buffer materials, the giant arborvitae you've talked about, what guarantee
do adjacent neighbors have that such buffer material will be maintained and replaced in the event it dies? Because I do want to say this, that is a very dark area, and I think you really should do a site inspection before you make.
I hate to cut you off. You're getting into testimony. But to answer your question, I believe the applicants already agreed that they would replace any trees if they died. That would be better for the township to enforce as far as.
Okay, thank you. I'm good.
Any other members of the public wish to ask questions at this point? Questions only. Seeing none, hearing none, close the public portion for questions. Do you have any other witnesses?
I do not.
All right. So now we open up the public for comment. So now we will open this meeting up for comment and testimony from any member of the public. So any member of the public who wishes to testify, please come up to the microphone. Now you get sworn in.
Mr. Budd, just name and address one more time for the record, please.
David A. Budd, 80 Overlook Road.
Okay, thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Please proceed.
Okay. As I started to say before, I have some misgivings about the efficacy of this buffer material to thrive in the conditions that it's going to find. My wife already went over the number of very large trees that are located on our property and on the two adjacent properties, which combine to basically deny very much afternoon sun. Once you get past noon, there's going to only be filtered sunlight that gets past our fence. And by the way, that is our fence. It's a Walpole stockade fence. It is facing the correct direction. The nice side of it is facing their property. It started to fall. Those posts rotted out predictably. I have partnered them all with pressure treated posts on the other side, so they're not going to go anywhere for at least a little while longer. And if it has to be replaced, I will be happy to replace it. But my concern is that before you approve this, I would really suggest and recommend strongly that you send either some representatives over there and do a site inspection to just look at the shade conditions that are found in where this buffer is supposed to go, because I don't think it's going to thrive. That is all I have to say at this point.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other members of the public wish to speak? Seeing none, hearing none, close the public portion. Board members, comments?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to
Yes, Mr. Benoit.
say that I think the applicant's done a really great job of addressing the concerns raised by the neighbors from the last time. And it may very well be true that there isn't enough sunlight. That's not so much the concern of the board, except to say that the applicant has agreed to replace trees that don't survive. So I think that, in my view, with the improvements made by the applicant, I would say that the benefits outweigh the detriments, and I'd be in favor of approving this application.
Okay, any other board members with comments?
Mr. Chair, being that the applicant has and is willing to satisfy all of the board's conditions and has shown an effort in good faith to appease the neighbors, I make a motion to approve this application. One second.
Any other comments from board members? And before we do any kind of vote, we have to enumerate the conditions.
I'll be trying to keep score, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so we want to make sure that all the conditions are on there.
Yeah. If nobody else has anything to add, I can.
Sure, let's go over the conditions and we can talk about it.
So first, the applicant here is seeking one variance, bulk variance for the rear yard setback of the swimming pool. He's required to provide 50 feet at a minimum. He's proposing 26.5. As far as conditions go, I do know that I don't know if he retired yet, but former and/or current assistant township engineer Hanson had issued a permit denial on this application. Well, not on this application when he initially applied for the pool. There were a couple conditions in there that the applicant would need to submit for and obtain a grading permit in connection with the improvements. We would also need to install dry wells to mitigate the proposed increase in lot coverage. Both these conditions would be subject to the review and approval of the Township Engineering Department. Joe, I hate to put you on the spot. Anything you want to weigh in on with the stormwater?
So I am familiar with it, and our assistant engineer has officially retired. So a few days ago.
Okay.
The conditions that he had put into the zoning denial, they're meant to be complementary to it being carried in a denial and referral to the board.
Okay.
So I would recommend the same.
Okay.
Essentially, there's a grading permit application you make to the engineering department. We'll review and we'll go over with you the required detention. It will likely just be some form of infiltration, perhaps kind of gutter drains around the outside of the patio to take that, and then it might be able to even feed some of your new plantings in some way.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks, Joe. Appreciate it. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I prepared for it.
I'll do the best. Okay. As far as other conditions, this is what I picked up from tonight's hearing. Applicant will provide landscaping to be planted in substantial accordance with the landscaping concept plan and renderings provided under Exhibit A1 that was presented this evening.
Who would evaluate that? Would that be the zoning officer?
Zoning and or engineering, I would get that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, it's yes, both.
Yes.
Okay.
We are in the process of working on replacements for Mr. Hanson's position.
Let me just make a note of that. So I'm gonna put that in the resolution. Okay. Applicant will provide a 48-inch pool fence to enclose the entire, I don't know why I did that, put 2 dots for inches. 48-inch pool fence to enclose the entire rear yard area, position 1.5 feet away from the fence to the rear. In addition to preserving the existing stockade fence, which I guess is kind of irrelevant now that it's been testified to that it's on the other property anyway. Applicant will construct the patio in accordance with the depiction on the landscape concept plan. And the plot plan that was initially submitted will be revised to depict that patio and to also revise the lot coverage calculations accordingly. Applicant will replace any trees planted in connection with this application if they die or otherwise significantly damaged. Let me see what else. I know there's a couple. The applicant will comply with the tree ordinance as it relates to any kind of future tree removal. And I think that's it from this evening. And let me just double check Rich's notes from last time. I don't think I.
Can we add something in there that this, if we approve this, that this in no way validates any concerns about the presently detached dwelling? As far as saying that, okay, we've approved this site plan, this location, and therefore the applicant would say, well, they've approved my detached dwelling there.
Oh, you can put me on record.
I can make it clear in the resolution, Mr. Chairman, that this doesn't relate to the detached dwelling or carriage house, as I think it was called.
They call it the catches. Albert will know in the building department.
Right,
That
but-
this does not pertain.
But this can come up
For a
10 years
future
from now.
owner, if you were not. to
after
address it.
Albert retires.
Yes,
Yes.
okay. No, my plan is to get that carriage house done pretty much right after this happens.
Right. No, there's no devariance being granted for 2 dwellings or anything like that.
No,
Yeah, this
not-
is
not-
purely related to the pool. I'll make that,
You can quote me, absolutely not.
we would make sure that's clear in any resolution.
Okay. Any other conditions? Any other board members with, did we cover any conditions to your satisfaction, members of the public?
I did see one from Rich. He noted that the second brick building, which I think is referring to as the carriage house, may not be used as a separate residence.
Yeah.
Which I think we've already,
I think because it's
That's already been
separate,
clarified.
it can't be. So
Right.
again, if they're
Yeah, that's-
connected, then it's not a separate
Right.
residence. So we're-
he had it marked as a, with the C next to it, which I presume is condition.
And again, this thing has been an open can of worms for everybody.
Okay.
Landscape plan, we already did.
No separate
We have nothing to
residence.
do with.
We can put that in there, so we,
Yeah.
It's been proposed to me that we put the pool inside of that just to appease everybody, but I don't think that's gonna work.
no.
And the only other, I mean, the fence would need to be pool compliant anyway. You just noted that it would need to be pool compliant per township engineering requirements, which is, I think we've already touched on. So
Okay.
I think that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay. With that in mind, any other
Do
member?
we want to put a time limit on the replacement of trees? Or is it just going to be forever?
I'm happy to do a time limit. I mean, again,
No, that's actually for your benefit, so.
yeah, I'm not. again,
I'm asking him. No disrespect, but it's just between us.
Do we want to put a time limit?
For 3 years or
Eventually they're
5
gonna
years.
die.
5 years?
You can do it for the life of the pool.
We do it for the life of the pool.
It's, the landscaping is mitigation of a view shed that specifically speaks to the balancing test that you will opine on shortly when you make your decision. So it's most appropriately tied to the life cycle of the pool in some capacity.
Okay, then we'll make it straight out, tied to the life cycle of the pool.
So it would be,
Unless by mutual agreement of the neighbors. But no, let's not leave that out. They can
No.
figure that out on their own.
Neighbors can't make the rules.
and, you know, and then it falls to an enforcement issue.
Okay,
Enforcement officer.
So I think the better way to reword the condition would they would replace any trees. Applicant shall maintain the trees as depicted on the landscape plan for the life of the pool. So,
okay,
right.
good. Okay,
Mr. Chairman, there was a question from the,
It's on another topic, so I don't want to.
okay. Should we let her ask the question?
Up to you, Mr. Chairman.
Come up to the microphone and ask your question. We normally don't do this, but
Thank you. I'm sure it's minor, but
we never know.
you never know. So you mentioned a grading permit, and sorry, I didn't even know about a grading permit. So I just wanted to know how much grading is involved.
That's your bailiwick.
48 feet.
48 feet's worth. No. That's gonna be a good joke for the lifetime of us knowing each other.
life of the pool.
So the grading permit is triggered by the overall disturbance area. So essentially, the area that's being disturbed is large enough that it triggers and necessitates our review to make sure that no significant changing grade detriments another property. And also the offset of the impervious coverage that's being created is then mitigated. So rather than doing that and perfecting that with the applicant before they're in front of this board, that's a process that's commonly done in municipalities through a grading permit instead afterwards.
Okay, so
So, and the net cut fills on the property are not very substantial other than the excavation of the pool. It's really the feathered grading from what is essentially an existing grade where the patio will be to make sure that it does not shed the water towards a specific neighbor in any concentration. It
okay,
gets captured and goes into infiltration.
okay,
All right,
okay, very good. Thank you.
you're welcome. Okay, board members, any other comments, questions? Then I'll entertain a motion.
You have one from.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Williams,
I amend my motion to all of the conditions said.
okay, yeah, I just wanted, because all the conditions weren't enunciated yet. So you're renewing your motion to approve?
I am, sir.
I think that includes all the conditions. I
Include
saw.
all- I thought that's what I said.
Mr. Schuster, seconds.
Okay, Ms. Santiago?
Mr. Goldberg,
Yes.
Mr. Trachtenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Benoit,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Woodford.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Best of luck. Applewood Lane.
If you want extra copies of the picture,
Do you want these extra copies?
Okay,
want some pictures?
We got to keep a set, please, for the,
we got to keep one set.
Thanks a lot. Good luck.
You have a set, Sonia, you have a set?
A set, yeah. Joe, yeah, I gave it to Joe.
We took it.
Here, you can have mine.
Joe, you kept mine, right?
I kept a copy.
So you have a set?
I heard it's got to be complete, so
Yes.
Okay.
her reputation precedes her.
Yes, it does.
Yes,
See?
it should.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I just
Can
couldn't
you
find
give us
the
the homeowner?
agenda that's down at the bottom somewhere.
next.
Ball.
Their landscaping. I don't see a landscaping truck, so. I think it's him. Let's see if he shows up.
Okay, the next application is BA-06-25, Joseph and Meg Gall. Ms. Santiago.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. This is application BA-06-25, Joseph and Meg Gall. It's block 6904, lot 520 Applewood Lane in the RA15 zone, section C. Applicant proposes construction of an in-ground pool and patios, creating a rear yard setback of 20.44 feet where 25 feet is required.
The rating,
Okay.
please give everything.
Let me swear in witness and our board engineer whenever we get situated. Okay. So if you both raise your right hands, you both swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
You swear? Thank you, sir.
Please give us your name and spell your last name.
Sure, it's Corey Gall, G-A-U-L. I am attorney at Gall, Barada, and Rosello, Cedar Knolls. I'm also here on behalf of the applicants, Joe and Meg Gall, who also happen to be my parents. I apologize, they are not here in person. They are in Georgia, and my father mistakenly thought he could appear by Zoom. He learned he couldn't, and for some reason, I volunteered to help him out today. So I am here on their behalf, seeking the variance reference at 10 Applewood Lane. It's involving zoning ordinance 95-28, which requires 25-foot rear setback. The plan proposes a 20.44 rear yard setback, so it's 4.56 feet short. And just to give a little bit more information about the property, the rear of the property abuts forest, which is owned by the township. So there's not a neighbor back there. It's actually forest for about 200 feet. And then there is the wall or barrier, if you want, that is Route 287.
The sound barrier for 287.
Correct. So that's what's in the rear of the backyard. There's no neighbor back there. It's just 200 feet.
Mr. Gall, before we go any further, I just want to be clear. So you're here on behalf of your parents. I did receive a letter from your father, Joe Gall, that you'd be here on his behalf. You're here as a witness, also as an attorney in fact, so to speak, as opposed to attorney representing an applicant. Because you're giving testimony.
Yeah,
Right.
it was a little unclear at first what I was coming
Right.
for, but yes.
Right.
And you're totally,
Knowledge of the property.
Right,
and you have, I assume you have knowledge of the property.
I do.
Okay.
right. And I did see in the letter that he's authorized you to stipulate to conditions the board may impose on any condition of approval.
That is correct.
Okay,
That's
understood.
all I-
Great, thank you. Oh, can we also get your address for the record, please? We have,
Yes, 203 Washington Street, Jersey City, New Jersey, 07302.
all right, thank you, sir.
Okay, you may proceed.
So, Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
If I may, since this variance is based on a setback where 287 is the neighbor,
Right.
I think we might be able to dispense with a lot of the normal process and possibly move forward with.
Well, I think we still have to get what the application is on the record. And also questions about the impact on neighbors on either side. Even though it's not a setback, they're not setback involved in the setback, it's always good to just see what the impact is.
Thank you.
All right, you may proceed.
Okay, and then just to add, for the record, the ordinance requiring notice to surrounding neighbors, even though we're not in here, that was all complied with proof of service on all of them. There's not been any reports, it's my understanding, that's been sent to the board commenting or objecting to the pool, to the variance that are being requested. And Mr. Schuster said, it does go to the rear of the yard, and it is only forest back there with 200 feet, and the variance is for about 4.5, a little over 4.5 feet. And I welcome any questions the board have that I can help answer.
So just a point of clarification. So the property backs up to a vacant lot, and then that lot backs up to 287, right?
It's not, I guess you could call it a vacant lot. It's actually like 5 acres of forest
Okay.
altogether. So it's not split up, and I know what you mean by a lot. So it's not, at least in my mind, when I think a lot, I think.
It's a tax lot, right? Like if
Right.
we're gonna map, that's what I mean by a lot, right?
Right, it's backed up to a 5 acre tax lot.
Okay.
Which is all forest except for Route 287, which I believe the DOT has an easement with.
Right, and that lot is, I believe, open space, is that correct?
That's what it
I
says.
believe so.
Yes.
So to the other side, of 287 east would be Southgate
Right,
for relation.
right, okay. Okay.
And unless there are any other questions,
So it would have no impact on any rear neighbor whatsoever?
correct,
It never will,
correct.
for the life of 287.
Is there any landscaping proposed along the property lines? On the side lines, rear?
No.
Nothing?
Is the shed on the plans existing or proposed?
The shed on the plan is existing.
Existing.
Well, with that being said, is it within the setbacks?
What's
So the,
Yeah.
I believe it was Mr. Hanson that did the
review?
the review and denial of the
He didn't
permit, all
phrase it in
codes
the,
and regulations
denial.
were met,
To us on the
including the shed setback. The only regulation that is not complied with was the rear yard 25-foot setback. And that's the single variance that
The shed meets the zoning requirements as far as the size and location setback for shed.
And is there any intention on taking down any large trees in the rear?
No.
Yeah.
Okay. Board members, any other questions? Members of the public, any questions? Seeing none, hearing none, close the public portion. Board members, any comments? Seeing how this application will impact no one, do I have a motion?
I move that we approve.
Real quick, Mr. Chairman, just to be clear, public comment and questions were closed. There's no members of the public. Just want to make that
Okay,
clear.
thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Also, I did just note there were 2 conditions in the permit denial letter dated February 24th. You guys would need to apply for and obtain a grading permit, which would include the submission of a grading plan that includes the design and calculations of the dry well. All this will be subject to the engineering department's review. And also I think you would also need to revise the zoning table on the site plan to include the area of the proposed pool as part of the proposed building coverage. Again, these plan revisions subject to the engineering department's review. You guys will do that?
That's correct, yeah,
Okay.
that's the letter.
Okay, got it. All right, so you're complying with the letter. That's all I just wanted to make clear. Thank
Okay,
you.
great. So your motion?
Motion stands. I move that we approve with conditions as stated.
Okay. Any, do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Santiago?
Mr. Goldberg,
Yes.
Mr. Trachtenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams.
Yes.
Mr. Schuster.
Yes.
Mr. Benoit,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Woodford.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Make sure you bill your parents.
So Mr. Gall,
Tell them it was 3 hours. Exactly.
We'll only owe them about a couple million now.
Travel to and attend zoning board meeting.
That's right. Travel time too.
so Mr. Gall,
Participate in.
Mr.
Exactly.
Mr. Gall. I lived at 212 Washington Street,
Oh, did you really?
and that restaurant there is now, that was my office when I had my business.
And what's the restaurant?
No, the other corner, it's, Satie.
Yeah.
That was my office.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
like
it was
in the 20s.
It feels that way.
The other
That's when
20s.
They
But I
didn't
loved
they didn't
living
allow
there.
women in the bars in Jersey City back then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's too busy for me now. At that time, I loved it.
Some board
Me too.
We'll talk about that later about it. Okay, next application is BA-7-25, Alexander and Rebecca Langlois.
Very nice.
It was a Judge Langlois.
That was my mom.
Oh.
Hopefully that was a good thing. I shouldn't have said that.
No. She was a very nice person.
Oh,
I not one. I appeared before many times, and
oh man, what'd you do?
I'm an attorney. I wasn't like a habitual criminal.
All right, fair enough.
Look at the way he turned out.
Defines a
Okay.
position of trust.
Okay, Ms. Santiago.
Okay, this is BA 07-25. Alexander and Rebecca Langlois, Block 7306, Lot 12, 20 Albert Avenue in the RA15 zone for Section C. Applicant proposes the construction of a second-story addition creating a front yard setback on Fanuc Road of 46.8 feet, where 50 feet is required, and a front yard setback of 32 feet on Albert Avenue, where 50 feet is required. The applicant will also seek a variance for the expansion of a non-conforming structure.
All right. Can we get to everybody sworn
Yes,
in?
okay, so if you two gentlemen could raise your hands, as well as Board Engineer Vuce. Do all three of you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to provide will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Great. And sir, I'm presuming you're an architect, but I don't want to get too far ahead of my skis. Could you give the board the benefit of your background, credentials, educational experience?
I'm registered in the state of Stephen Majewski,
Let's do that first.
Majewski. My office is at 20 Valley Street in South Orange, New Jersey, where I've been at that location since 1998 approximately, and across the street. I've been in the practice of architecture since graduating the University of Virginia in 1976, and I originally worked for another company, Alexander Bowl Architects, for 22 years before establishing my own company in 1998 in my hometown of South Orange, and I've been there ever since. Most of my experience is in residential architecture, even though I've worked on many other things besides that. I've had testimony before approximately 70 other times before boards in the past.
Okay. License is current and good standing?
Excuse me?
Your license is current and in good
Yes.
standing? Yes.
Okay.
Is
Thank
accepted,
you.
Mr. Chairman?
He's accepted. You're acceptable as an architect.
Thank you.
And, sir, I'm sorry, how do you pronounce your last name again?
It's Langlois.
Langlois, okay. Just your address for the record, please. And you're Alex Langlois,
I am
correct? Okay.
Alex Langlois.
The applicant, 20 Albert Avenue?
20 Albert. Yep.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so I'm here on behalf of myself and my wife and our three daughters, Rebecca and Loretta, Delilah, and Jolene. We've been living in town, actually exactly 16 years and 2 days we moved in to 20 Albert. My wife and I had our first fight, 16 years, 2 days, and now 20 Albert because she was a month pregnant with our daughter, and I walked in seeing her lifting up a couch. And we've been happily in Morristown ever since. The kids are happily ensconced in the school district. I've got a 16-year-old, a 13-year-old, and a 9-year-old. We love it in Morristown. Had a chance to move a couple years back to go take over my childhood home in Madison and didn't even think about it because we like it here so much. More than that, we like our neighborhood. My wife is a nurse practitioner up at the hospital, so she's got a 2-minute commute until the hospital put in some parking changes. The kids are super happy. Ginty Pool, we think we're in one of the best spots in town. Ginty Pool, right down the street. I know every inch of Wawanaka paths from running thousands of miles in there. We do not want to move. But as I said, wife, 3 daughters, we basically share one bathroom. The kids sharing rooms. We're just running out of space a little bit. And so this is why we're here. Steve came recommended from a friend of my older sister's. So we employed him about a year ago to just try to get a little more space so we don't have to move, so we can stay in Morristown for as long as we want. We love it here. Don't want to move. Just would like to have a little bit more space. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve. He knows all the stuff.
Just 1 second. Any board members have any questions? Members of the public, any questions? Close the public portion. You may proceed.
Good evening. As I've been introduced, I came to this project as I usually do, and one of my first actions that I do is review zoning for anything that requires an addition for this, like this project does. And I found myself looking at a corner lot, which is part of the plot plan, and this is the plot plan that you have as your records, and this is what I will refer to address the variances in the neighborhood and what we're asking for. Now, as I initially looked at the zoning survey, I go through all the calculations of coverage, building coverage, and for each lot individually. And of course, I initially discovered we have a corner lot. Typically, corner lots have challenges to start with because there's 2 streets and 2 front setbacks, and I usually find that coverage is a complication and a violation. But in this case, I discovered that building and lot coverage were not complications. I only discovered that a front yard variance would be required. If you look at the 2 streets, 50 feet minimum is required per the zone, and 1 street, Fanuk, only has a little bit less than 50 feet, and the coast side is 30 and a half feet basically to the front of the house on Albert Avenue. I'm typically seeing that these front setbacks would comply, so I was surprised when I saw 50 feet, but of course, corner lot has challenges. So we discussed the project, found that we were really only going up and covering the existing non-conforming structure, not with a further violation. The only thing that we would be going beyond the footprint when we worked up a proposal for this project is a slight bit in the back of an overhang of the 2nd floor, about 2 feet, in order to accomplish the space upstairs and to cover the existing front porch with a roof, which is not a violation because the front is allowed to go in anyway. It only goes in the roof only about another 2.5 feet past the face of the building. So what I also looked at was, how does this compare to other lots? So when I looked at Albert Avenue, I looked at Fanuk first, and the setback is very similar to the houses on Fanuk at this point, the other houses that go along that street. But when you look at Albert Avenue, the lots that are closest to this property were on lot 12. Across the street, there's 3 lots that are substantial size and 1 right next to it. This front setback is very similar to those houses. And then if you go north, you find older homes, and all those are much smaller lots, and their front setbacks are very close to the street. I don't know exactly what they are, but I would guess some of them are only about 15, 20 feet at the most from the street. But in addressing this particular lot, I found that we're very similar to the other houses, very local to it. So when we were talking about building a project that does not violate further, goes up on the existing non-conforming front setback, I felt this would be a reasonable request to bring to the board to grant relief for us. The other interesting thing is, and I outlined it in my description of the property, and I illustrated this with 2 color markers on the site plan. The allowed building envelope is very small on this lot. It's outlined in orange, and it's outlined on your property.
Mr. Majewski, I'm sorry, before you go any further, we're going to mark that as Exhibit A1. This is also the plan set you submitted dated February 20th, 2025, correct? But with some highlights?
February 20th.
Right, no revisions on that?
Excuse me?
There's no revisions since that date?
No changes.
Okay, same plans. Okay, but this will be Exhibit A1 highlighted property plot plan.
This is the exact copy that you have.
Right, great.
I prepared it with my staff, all these drawings.
No, understood, just because it's highlighted, it has to be treated as a separate exhibit, beyond the plans.
Yep.
So, yeah.
So if you look at it, due to the 50-foot front setback on each street, you can see the building envelope is actually pretty small. It's only about 25 feet deep, even though it's 80 feet long. And the front of the house, the majority of the existing houses is in violation. I gave a percentage on this here. I think it's more than 50% of this existing house in violation. So we're automatically sort of given a hardship to be able to develop anything on this lot. And the interesting thing is, if anybody wanted to remove this house, it's likely that any development would have to come for a variance anyway. It's a very small building envelope, and I doubt that someone could do something on this lot that would be acceptable to the neighborhood without a variance. And the other interesting thing I looked at is, if this was not a corner lot, if it was a standard interior lot, such that this is the street and this is the side yard, you get a much bigger building envelope, because the rear yard setback required in the two sides and the front would give you a building envelope outlined in yellow that would be double the size that we have. So when you look at this, we would really be restricted to be able to develop anything on this lot if this house was to come down. So we've decided that it would be best to work with what we have, because there's a lot of value in the project, property that's there in the building. And we're renovating the first floor very little. There's an odd bedroom that you actually pass through, and that would become part of the kitchen space, which is lacking an eating area. And basically, that's what we're asking here for. So we feel that this is a reasonable request for a front yard variance because it's similar to the other houses in the neighborhood. And I can introduce photo board.
Sure.
Is this A2?
Yep, that'll be Exhibit A2, and that's a photo board exhibit?
Yes. I took the photos, some recently and some during the course of the project. And there's a Google Map image on the board in the middle.
Do we have a date on that, or is that just today's date? 4/28/25?
2025.
Just the entire exhibit?
I printed it 2 weeks ago.
I'm talking the entire exhibit. We'll just date that today. That's okay?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. Just want to be clear.
Some of these pictures are actually in the application that you have. So I showed a view of each side of the house. One side looking from the garage, on the bottom right side, more direct to the front. In the middle, I couldn't take a direct shot that you can see the house because of the trees that are in the front. I took one in the back, which is on the left side, and I took one from the garage of the back, and we are building over the footprint of everything that you see here. I also include on this some photos of the houses across the street and on the same side that relate to the similar front setback that we have on our house.
And they're all 2 stories, correct? They're all 2-story
2
houses.
stories, they're all full 2 stories. There's a Google Map image here, and if you looked at it, you would be able to see that the houses close to it are all similar front setbacks. We designed the architecture. We stayed in the exact same styles that are consistent with the neighborhood, nothing unusual. 2-story colonial. We're raising the center portion mostly. The garage is on the right side. That is staying as it is. And we're enhancing the architecture of the existing single-story colonial. We're significantly under the height still. We're only at about 31 feet maximum, and 35 feet is allowed. We're not getting any closer to the rear yard or the interior side yard. And so we feel that this is a reasonable request that keeps the neighbor consistent with the neighbors and the other homes in the area. We're not proposing something similar, different. Now,
and you also submitted these plans ahead of time, February 20th, 2025 is the date on these?
yes.
Okay, no revisions. Just making sure it's the same thing.
Same exact ones that you have.
All right, thank you.
No marks.
Perfect, thank you.
So I also, in deciding whether this would be a reasonable request that I felt that we could bring to the board, the existing building coverage is only 15.8%, and we're allowed 20, and it's only going a slight bit because of the overhang of the second floor in the back, which is right here, in order to be able to square off that side of the house to get a bedroom. You can see that on the floor plans, which is page 2 of your package. That's the bedroom labeled before. It extends a little bit beyond the footprint of what's covered, and it does not go over the existing rear one-story section. You can also see here what I mentioned earlier, where the kitchen gains an eating area by taking over a guest bedroom that the family is using now, and we're creating an open stair in the front to be able to go to the second floor, because obviously there was no stair to the second floor. So normalizing the house with colonial features and basically try to keep it, improve the architecture and stay. So we're not increasing the building footprint except by a very little bit. It's still well in conformance. Lot coverage of 45% allowed, and we're only at 30.6 with all the hard surfaces and everything. So there's no change proposed for that. So we're in keeping with the lot coverage also. And as I mentioned, we're only at about 31 feet and 35 feet is allowed. So essentially, we now have a current contributing structure that we're proposing will be consistent with other homes in the area. We're not getting any closer to the street than the existing nonconformity, and we feel that this will be consistent and in character with the neighborhood and will advance the land use ordinances of your town here. We feel that it would be an asset to any other future homeowners and also to the neighborhood.
Board members, any questions? Any questions from any member of the public? Close the public portion. Any comments from members of the public? Seeing none, hearing none, close the public portion. Board members. This is like, to me, a no-brainer.
Took the words out of my mouth.
I second that.
I would hope I have more projects like that.
There's no way you can go anywhere but up on this property, and you're going to need a variance no matter what you do. And it's in keeping with the neighborhood. It doesn't interfere with any of the plans of the neighborhood, the outline of the neighborhood, the quality of life in the neighborhood. I'd vote to approve it.
It's an existing nonconformance that's not changing.
Right. So can I have a motion, please?
Motion to approve the application.
Do I have a second?
Wait.
Second.
Schuster?
David?
Mr. Chairman, before you guys vote, just want to be clear, I think there was one condition, I'm not sure if it's entirely applicable, from the permit denial. They did request that you guys submit a revised or submit a new site plan to depict the addition, the size, existing proposed setbacks, and include a zoning table, including lot coverage amounts, prepared by an engineer or surveyor. I don't know if you guys submitted that or not, but I think that was requested by the engineering department.
I did the calculations.
Okay.
We need a surveyors. We're not changing anything. I didn't think we would need a surveyor's.
Joe, I hate to put you on the spot again.
No.
So, are they good on that front? Hold on, I could read you from the letter. Let me just find it.
Is that on the zoning officer?
Yeah, it was in the permit denial. Let me see if I can take it out. Oh, I got it in my packet here.
I would expect that the package that's before our board is more comprehensive than what was delivered to the zoning officer. So in particular, there is a Morgan survey that had original markup on it of the intended area, similar to what the architect's done here tonight with us. I think that, and then the combination of your architectural package doing those calculations would satisfy that.
So irrelevant at this point, they've already.
Yeah, I think it's already intended to have been satisfied with the application.
As long as you're happy.
And it'll come across my desk. So if we need to
And I'll
supplement it.
clarify, that's a newer survey. That was updated survey than the zoning officer saw
Okay,
initially.
that makes
That was
sense.
an
Okay, that's what I was
initial review,
getting at.
and we got a formal survey.
Yeah, so that would satisfy that intent of that comment.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. Sorry to delay. Just wanted to make sure everybody's kind of careful here.
Mr. Schuster has made a motion. Do we have a seconded by Mr. Benoit? Ms. Santiago, roll call.
Mr. Goldberg,
Yes.
Mr. Trachtenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Williams,
Yes.
Mr. Schuster,
Yes.
Mr. Benoit,
Yes.
Mr. Kramer,
Yes.
Mr. Woodford.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you very much.
Best of luck.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, it's very convenient to have all the amenities that the township offers.
We do, we love it. We love it. And,
We'll be watching as I go to and from the pool.
Maybe smell the stables every once in a while, too.
That's a fun life.
Yeah, when it's downwind, yeah, you know, the seat hackney's down.
Yeah, that would, you need to keep that. We'd need to keep that, yes. 'cause
The
it's marked.
exhibits, yes.
The two exhibits we'd have to mark and keep.
Thank y'all very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good luck. Goes the bikes on the car.
Okay.
You go to-
Any other business? Anything? Nothing? Then a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.